I read the email 3 times before I finally stood up. The words were short, cold, and delivered with the precision of a scalpel. "Mom, please don't come to the wedding. Just watch it through live stream. It's better this way." There was no explanation, no apology. Just that quiet dismissal. And it came from Zoya, my only daughter. I walked slowly to the window, watching the rain tap against the glass like it was trying to break in. Maybe it felt the same as I did, shut out of something it should have been part of. Zoya used to be the kind of daughter who would climb into bed with me when she had nightmares, even at 12. She used to call me her safe place. I remember brushing her long brown hair before school, tying it into a braid she always wanted, just like Hina aunties. Ironic. That was before the distance, before the silences turned from hours into weeks, before the father-daughter duo made plans. I wasn't invited to. I chalked it up to growing pains, the way adult children shift their orbit as they build lives of their own. But somewhere along the way, Zoya stopped orbiting entirely. And now this. I sat at the kitchen table, tracing the rim of my cold tea. The house was too quiet, like it was holding its breath with me. Usman wasn't home. He rarely was these days. His text from this morning was as minimal as ever. "Work late again. Don't wait." I had spent the last few years pretending. I couldn't see what was right in front of me. The late nights, the hollow apologies, the weekends that stretched into solo Sundays, and always, Hina. My best friend since college, my sister in everything but blood. She was there when Zoya was born. She threw surprise anniversaries. For me and Usman. She'd drop by with food, just because. And Usman always seemed brighter when she did. Still, I looked away. I swallowed my instincts like bitter medicine, convincing myself that loyalty was more important than suspicion. But this email, it was the fracture that made everything else come crumbling down. Zoya's wedding was a week away. I had picked out a sky blue dress, ordered matching heels, even had a speech prepared, handwritten in a floral notebook. I was going to talk about the day she was born, how she kicked harder than any baby I'd ever known, how she always ran headfirst into life. Apparently, now she was running away from me. I clicked reply, typed a single sentence. "Okay. Congratulations," then deleted it. No, I wouldn't give her that satisfaction. If she wanted to cut me out, she'd have to sit with that decision in silence. My phone buzzed. A message from Imran, my elder brother. "You okay, Nadia? Heard?" About the email. He always knew when something was wrong, even without details. I didn't respond. Not yet. Instead, I opened my photo album, flipping through years frozen in smiles. Zoya on her first day of school, clinging to my leg. Usman lifting her on. His shoulders at the beach. Hina beside me at Zoya's high school graduation, both of us in matching beige shawls. It all looked so perfect. But perfection has a strange way of hiding cracks. I stood and walked toward the old wooden cupboard Usman never opened. Tucked inside was a box of keepsakes, cards, receipts, forgotten trinkets. I dug through them slowly, unsure of what I was, looking for until I found a photo from 3 years ago. Usman, Hina, standing a little too close at some dinner party. Her hand resting lightly on his chest. His smile not just wide, but warm. Too warm. That wasn't friendship. That was possession. I stared at it for a long moment. Then I whispered to myself, "They think they've erased me." I smiled, not the kind born of joy, but the kind that grows when clarity finally cuts through fog. Let them have their live stream wedding. Let them pretend I'm invisible. They'll see me again, and this time they won't forget me so easily. I didn't sleep that night. I lay still in bed, staring at the ceiling while shadows shifted across the walls. There's a strange kind of exhaustion that comes from betrayal. Not the tiredness of the body, but the hollowing of the spirit. By morning, I wasn't crying. I was calm. I made tea, ironed my clothes, and decided to start digging. Not out of anger, but out of a need to see the truth with both eyes open. It began with small things. A drawer Usman never let me touch. I waited until he left for work, then opened it carefully. Bills, receipts, an old wristwatch, and a hotel loyalty card. One I had never seen before. The name of the hotel rang faint bells. Zoya had once mentioned it when she stayed over at Auntie Hina's for the weekend. I held the card between my fingers, then slipped it into my bag. By midday, I was sitting in my car outside that hotel. I asked the receptionist politely about recent stays under Usman's name. She refused, of course. But the moment I said, "I believe my husband's having an affair," her eyes flickered. Guilt or sympathy, I couldn't tell. She didn't confirm anything. She didn't have to. It was enough. I didn't confront Usman that evening. Not yet. Instead, I sat across from him at dinner, watching him scroll through his phone. When he noticed me staring, he smiled weakly and asked, "Everything." "Okay?" I wanted to laugh. Instead, I said, "Zoya sent me the wedding livestream link." He paused. "Oh, well, it's better this way. Less drama." Less drama. He ate his food like it was just another Tuesday. Later, I opened our shared bank account online. Transfers to a private card I didn't know about. Weekly amounts, regular, clean. Someone was being kept, comfortably. I checked the call logs on the landline, the one no one really used anymore, hidden in plain sight. Hina's number appeared dozens of times, short calls, long ones, some even at midnight. I sat back and stared at the screen, feeling nothing, not even rage, just a strange sort of numbness, the kind that tells you the worst is no longer coming, it's already here. I called Imran. He answered on the second ring. "I'm ready to stop pretending," I said. "Good," he replied. "You've pretended long enough." We met at his place the next morning. I handed him everything, the photos, the receipts, the logs. He skimmed through them quietly, jaw tightening only once when he saw the hotel card. "You still want to go public?" he asked. "Not yet," I said. "Let them have their moment. Then I'll have mine." He nodded. "You don't want revenge?" "No. I want the truth to stand on its own. No screaming, no scenes, just truth, delivered cold." He leaned back and smiled, just a little. "That's more terrifying than yelling, you know." I returned home and began preparing, not for war, but for clarity. I opened my laptop and drafted an email, not to Zoya, not yet, but to myself. A letter from mother to daughter, unsent, a confession, a timeline, a truth she would one day be forced to face. Then I contacted a private investigator, recommended by Imran's friend. Discreet, professional. I didn't need photos of kisses. I needed confirmation of what I already knew. By the end of the week, I had them. A series of snapshots, Usman and Hina arriving at the same hotel. Walking arm in arm into a restaurant, Hina touching his chest like she used to with her husband before the divorce, before she started spending more time in my house than her own. The final photo was them holding hands at a park bench, laughing, like teenagers. I studied it for a long time. Then I sent one photo to my own email, labeled "For later." The rest I stored on a USB, locked away. That night, Usman brought me flowers. "Just felt like it," he said with that practiced grin. I accepted them with a nod. Thank you, they're lovely. He didn't notice the edge in my voice. Or maybe he did, and didn't care. Before bed, I whispered to the empty air, "You can't lie forever. Not to me, not to her. One day, silence becomes noise." And as I turned off the light, I knew Zoya's wedding would not go as planned. Not if I had anything to say about it. The morning of the wedding arrived like any other. The sun rose, birds chirped, but for me, everything felt hollow, like someone had cut out the color from the world and left it in grayscale. I brewed tea in silence and sat at the same table, where I once taught Zoya how to fold napkins for her 6th birthday party. I remembered her smile, the gap in her teeth, the joy that danced in her eyes when she proudly placed forks in the wrong spots. She used to call me her hero. Now I was a silent observer, removed like an uninvited guest from my own child's milestone. At 11:47 a.m., my phone buzzed with a notification. Zoya and Hamza's wedding livestream is now live. I didn't click it. Instead, I changed into the sky blue dress I'd bought for the wedding, the one no one expected me to wear. I straightened my hair, applied light makeup. Then I sat in front of my laptop, not to watch, but to send. At toss. Exactly 12:03 p.m., just as the vows would begin, my pre-written email went out to 127 guests. I had timed it carefully. Each recipient, family, friends, close colleagues of Usman, received a simple, elegant message with one subject line: the truth behind the celebration. The body of the message was brief. While I am not invited, today I want you to witness the full story, not the curated performance. Attached are recent photographs, statements, and confirmations. I do not wish to ruin a wedding. I only wish to step out of the silence I was pushed into. Read, decide for yourself. Nadia. Attached were 7 files, no commentary. Just evidence. I didn't expect immediate responses, but within 5 minutes, I saw the WhatsApp groups begin to shift. One cousin called me. I declined. Another texted, "Are you okay?" Another simply wrote, "We saw it. We believe you." Imran sent me a single word. Done. At 12:14 p.m., I got a call from Zoya. I let it ring. Then, on the 6th buzz, I picked up. Her voice cracked. You sent that to everyone?" I said nothing. "How could you do this on my wedding day?" she asked, voice thick with disbelief. "I asked you once to see me," I replied softly. "You chose to look away." A pause. Heavy. "You humiliated Dad." "No, he humiliated himself. I just stopped cleaning up the mess." She started to speak again, but I interrupted. "I didn't want to hurt you, Zoya. I wanted to be there. I wanted to love you from the front row, but you locked me out to protect a lie. And now, you've seen what lies do." There was silence, then a sob, and then the line went dead. I sat still for a long time, unsure if I felt relief or grief. By evening, the wedding was still held, but not as planned. Several guests left quietly. Some confronted Usman. Others whispered, avoiding eye contact. Hina didn't appear in any group photos. She had slipped away mid-ceremony, according to Imran. And Zoya, my daughter, had finished the event with red eyes and trembling lips. That night, I received another message from her. "I need time. I don't know what to feel, but I miss you. Can we talk soon?" I stared at it. A part of me wanted to reply immediately, to rush into reconciliation. But I'd learned something valuable over the past week. Some silences are not meant to be filled right away. So I wrote, "I'm here when you're ready, and I'll always be your mother." Then I shut my phone, opened the window, and let the night air wash over me. The city was alive, unchanged, unbothered by the storm inside. my house. But I was no longer the woman hiding in her kitchen, no longer the ghost in her own story. I had spoken, not to cause chaos, but to reclaim a voice that had been stolen, buried beneath politeness and fear. Truth is not always kind, but silence is rarely fair. And as I stood alone in that quiet room, sky blue dress still crisp against my skin, I smiled, not from victory, but from freedom.